6 of 7 members.
All right, you are recording and live.
Okay, I call the meeting to order.
Hello.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. I got the X's on the sheet of paper here. Here's the other one here. 6 of the 7 board members are here, along with Peggy. So that's the sheet you'll take back with you. Thank you. Sorry. Okay, so we have a quorum. By the way, it's since we started the group 2 years ago in the subcommittee, we've had a quorum every meeting, and I'm still proud of that. So we can get business done. Public comment. Does anyone have a public comment of a group? I have one that was written in that we was basically wanted to Joe Schofield came forward with a note that wanted his pond prioritized when we looked at redoing the ponds as the next pond to do. On pond
The
36, the banks.
I thought we were number 5.
Yeah.
I thought it was number 5.
Well, we have a priority that Tetra Tech set in place. And Jim, we didn't, I don't want to reply to him, but you have dealt with him before on this.
Right. So I had discussed that with Joe over a year ago when he was on the board, Karina board. I will respond to his email that nothing has changed, that it's going on the priority list. We make adjustments. Adjustments will be made for justifiable cause, not because somebody is complaining that, why do I have mine? So I will respectfully respond to Mr. Schofield today.
And just so you know, that's why we use an outside engineering firm to do the prioritization. So there's no conflict of interest of a board member that's on a pond and that suddenly gets to a higher level of priority. It's an outside, it's Tetra Tech. And then we can say they did analysis and put priorities in place and we abide by their results. So that's the answer to Schofield.
It was my understanding that these priorities were based on inspections that were done a while ago, and there's a couple of ponds that really needed something, and then
it was done at the beginning of this year.
yeah.
But so, I mean, it can be relooked at, but what I'm saying, we won't do a whole inspection of everything every year.
Right.
Yeah. But we can look at that to make, but I think it was in January of last year, of this year, we got the report, which is not that long ago.
So that's already been prioritized.
No, right.
Yeah.
No, you got it. It's already. Okay, the next thing is we have minutes for the March 7th and May 2nd. I went through the minutes, made the modifications that I saw, gave them to Georgia, and this is the minutes with my changes made to them. Can I have a motion to approve the March 7th from the board?
Just say your name if you make the motion, please.
So
What,
Lynn?
Lynn?
Second?
Lou?
Okay. A vote?
Aye.
6-0. Second one is May 2nd. Can I have a motion to approve May 2nd?
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
Jim Latham.
And Mike did the second. Vote?
Aye.
All right. Okay.
Fire chief.
Hit now.
Aye.
Yep.
If I don't. Sure, that was put in by.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Oh, am I on PPAC? Am I on PPAC?
Yeah.
Ponds.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, that's the advisory.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Well, that was which.
There's also a pond
Yeah, that was not what Laura loaded into the agenda, is what I'm saying, or George.
You didn't vote for it?
Well, that came from the agenda.
Hold on.
Yeah.
No, not in here.
Okay. That was wrong.
It's available.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
I'll just say from an expense standpoint, we are tight. Especially when we build pump 36. We will be tight, but we only have to the end of September when the new year begins, so I think we'll be okay. But we will have spent all of our money this calendar year on a few things that have been done. And mainly on 36 and how much more it costs than was anticipated. But they haven't billed us anything yet. And when we get down to that, that might be a good thing. Okay.
So we're not in deficit.
No, we're not in problem. The first thing here to discuss is all the board members have to be recertified or revoted on every 2 years. This is the last two. It's literally in Latham's board seats that were up next month for recertification or requalifications. I sent a note out and we have two individuals, the two of them both agreed up to another 2 years is what this term is. So I guess we still need to vote on that. To nominate do we have a motion to accept Jim and Richard's
I moved to accept both of them. I second.
What's your name? Lou.
And we have a vote.
I'll pay you.
Okay, thanks.
We have a vote.
We'll get you coffee.
Thank you.
So,
We have-
It's still
so
free.
when you do these motions,
Yeah.
just please reiterate, Mike made the
Okay.
motion,
So that when
seconded,
they-
seconded, yeah, seconded by Lou, and then call.
Okay. And now can we have a vote? Sure. Yeah.
I guess I can vote. I can
You
vote
can
for
vote.
Rich.
Yep.
You can vote for me.
6-0.
Okay.
Okay, now I do not know, Chelsea, if Jim needs to be revoted on, he was an officer on the board, a vice president. Do we need to do that, or is that just?
You'll have to reorganize after PPAC approves it.
Right now, they're not.
You guys made the recommendation to PPAC for
Right.
them to continue.
Okay, let's go to the,
Excuse me, Doug, the financial report, I missed that.
no, you missed it because it wasn't there.
Oh.
I will,
You aren't losing your mind, Lou.
Yeah, we went right through that. Where were you?
I will make sure Laura sends it to the group by the end of today.
I've had one. That's what confused me.
Now going back, there was a third person who had expressed an interest?
No,
No? Okay, I thought I saw somebody else's name.
Yeah, there,
Harold.
Harold,
I did not.
That's where, yeah. I just. The email came out looking for volunteers, I figured I'd volunteer, so.
You're still doing.
I do the ponds, yeah.
Yeah.
Like water, yeah. Water fine. So, you know, I'm willing to help out any way I can.
Right.
So I'm just making that.
And by the way, I apologize that I didn't see.
Oh. Don't worry about that.
We might have voted one of
Harold,
these guys
thank you for your,
Yeah, we
input and for what you're doing as well.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
this appeal.
This is the Monticello cul-de-sac, isn't it? How, do you have something, I mean, you've led this with the district, correct? The power meter and the consumption and that, Ed?
I thought we've done this already. So.
I did too. And the only other thing I'll do before we make a recommendation to discontinue is Bob, as not as a board of supervisor member, but as a Monticello person, right?
Fine.
Okay. Because this was a Monticello post-act or disconnecting.
This is Bob. There's a meter installed in Monticello that only services the cul-de-sac Christmas lights. Reno is more than willing, Monticello is more than willing to pay for the consumption of electric for the 2 months they use it. But when it's pointed out that they got to pay $27 a month all year, which is what Ed and Doug brought to light, the community has decided that they're going to handle it a different way. They fully support turning off the meter. Matter of fact, it's already off. The meter's off, but it's still connected. So we're still paying.
Got to discontinue service.
So we're still paying it, but we got to discontinue service. So we'll move forward because it only benefits that one community. No problem.
We have a motion to disconnect and stop billing that meter.
Yeah, Mike
Mike,
moves that we discontinue.
Jim White seconded it.
Jim seconds it. So you got those two, and I said a vote. Now we have a vote on that versus
Aye.
6-0.
So now what's the next step to completely shut off and stop our billing? Gateway will notify FPL.
We'll make, hopefully Mr. Hedges will make PPAC aware of it. And then we'll notify effective immediately that meter, we would like for it to be cut off.
The next one is the meetings. Just for most of them. The next one will be October 10th, which will be the new year.
So the reason why you're seeing this, we're trying to schedule a year out, not only for staff time, but also we have to advertise these meetings in the newspaper because we have potentially multiple board members, multiple PPAC members. And so we're doing this with all of our committees and subcommittees. So, and then if there's any conflicts with holidays, if you wish to change those, now would be the time to do so.
I think
Are you gonna send that list out?
it's in the agenda, but I'll make sure you get a copy of that with the financials.
Okay.
I'll have Laura send both.
Thank you.
The next thing is the testing of the weir on 38. There's a little bit of a write-up, but I'll just speak a little and then Mike can do a little. That's the weir we put on pond 38 to help with the flooding that was done during Irma. It took us a while to get that weir installed, and like some bulldog working on that to get that done, but it was totally installed. And Daniel led an effort with Mike to lower the weir to test that. That was after Ian. The water level was very high, and we lowered the weir to let more water out of that pond. And Mike, how much did we get? I mean, we in what, 24 hours?
24 hours, yes, it was down about a foot. And they left it open for 6 days, and we got a maximum drawdown of 23 inches after it closed. The pond lost 20 inches over a few days. And it's doing the same thing right now, is that the conservation area around it is just draining into that. And so it's still open the last time I saw last night. So
50%.
yeah, a foot. So hopefully we can draw it down all that way.
Have you ever seen that weir when it's flooded? I mean, it's almost 12 inches above the sill at times when it's high. So there's a sill across the entire thing, and then there's a little notch. I call it a notch.
Notch, right? That's basically the control level,
The
right?
control
That
level.
notch.
It was not above the notch for the rain we had recently. It just shows that the weir is doing what it was intended to do. The street drain, the problem with the street drain, if it's at the top of the notch, those street drains over there in Palazzo and the end of that street are low, so that the water sits in the curb. But there's nothing you can do.
Well, one of the things that I saw when I went over to the weir the last 2 nights was that sidewalk is just coated with mud. And I think that may be what he's really complaining about. I don't know who cleans the sidewalk. Is that,
I would think that's golf course property, is it not?
no. It's on the other side of the street.
I think in the past, the sidewalks were the HOAs. I mean, in the villa, we were responsible for cleaning. Now we got the,
It's really,
swirly, I mean, but I think in the past, it's been the HOA.
So, yeah, I imagine that is Viadana. Then I don't know if it's Viadana or it could be that is right there where the common ground
It could.
starts.
what side, where are the sidewalks at here?
Yes. Yeah, you're right about right here. That's the low point. And actually the sidewalk goes down, and I think that's why that water just goes right into that sidewalk, because that's, you see there, that's the drain.
You see those two drains on each side where you have it there, the ones in the top and
It's
the one
that
right there,
drain
those
there.
two drains,
And
water
this,
stands in the gutter.
and this is all common area, I believe.
Yep.
Where and so I assume that's common area. So who takes care of common area?
This parcel right here is owned by Palazzo 3.
Oh, it is. So it's Palazzo.
That parcel is owned by Palazzo.
It'll be Palazzo HOA.
Could be.
And we can take
I'll
that.
tell Don
Okay.
that they ought to do something about that.
Okay, so that was a good investment for the weirs that were put in to protect the community. And it also was a good investment on the flowway because there's two weirs there and they're still 50% too.
Yep.
So what that does is gets water to the slough down to the Gulf faster when the adjustable weirs are lowered. And all that stuff is been working as designed. So it's pretty good.
Yeah, what about the discharge between Winn-Dixie, behind Winn-Dixie? This is a weir back there, right?
There's not a weir back there.
There's one on the other side of onto the 75.
We haven't had an issue in that
Well,
basin.
at Sienna, the water is on the road. You keep quiet on this. Yeah, the drains, pond 14 doesn't flow out too well. I see.
I think it's just the level, all the drain,
Yeah.
the pipes have been cleaned.
Yeah.
And we just completed that. And there's so much water control through. I think you probably have low drains, like there's Piadana and Plaza has in their communities. And when the ponds are high, like my drain in front of my house, it's right at the top of the drain, but it doesn't go, it's not enough to go over the top. With some of the communities,
Yeah.
the drains are lower, and when the ponds are high, it sets in. And we'll talk about that with the water retention strategy. I wanted to make sure people understand. Yes, Harold.
Yeah, I take my dog out for a ride every morning.
Yeah.
And I go on the golf course and on the flowway. No, we're not responsible for the flowway, but between hole 7 and 8, it's all backed up. The bridge that goes over the flowway.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of crap there. I don't know if that makes something that you
Okay.
make a difference or you can see.
Which is exactly what
So backed up.
That's
Hole between what holes, Harold?
It's weird.
Between 7 and 8 on the flowway.
Which
That's
behind
this.
So that's the last,
Yeah, last bridge before you go over.
before they go. It's
Yeah.
the last one by Tiberio and, what's that on the other side?
Yeah.
Sevilla.
No. It's on Azura. The 8th hole is Azura.
Okay, so that's the other one.
The other one, yeah.
Okay. And there's an adjustable.
You see it? Go away.
Yeah.
The pontoon, the pontoon weir.
Yeah, can I look at it one more time?
Yeah,
If you don't mind.
The pontoon weir is fixed. The one, behind Goodwill.
Yeah, I think there's also a lot of debris right where the flowway goes under tree line. There's a lot of stuff that is.
So both of the weirs have debris on them. Okay, the next thing, while she's doing that, I'll just mention the Farmer Max is it's a short thing to discuss. The Armor-Mex we did 7 years ago, on some of the ponds, the rock slid off the Armor-Mex, which is almost like a rubbery fiber type thing, and it slid off into the pond, and more rock has to be put on top of it, because otherwise it deteriorates with the sun. So we actually had two proposals, one from, they're in there, but one was from Copeland, they did quite a bit of rock. It was 24,000, I think it was $24,000. And Extreme Divers came back. They're using some of the extra rock they have for some of the same project they have at Gateway. And they gave us a bid just for the labor to accomplish this. Not the same thing. I think they're not going to be a sticker rock, but it will accomplish the protecting the Armor-Mex for $15,000.
1,500.
1,500, yes. Yeah, well, I mean, the number.
Yeah, one zero,
Right
who
numbers,
cares?
right numbers.
The right zero. Right zero. Yeah, and I already told me
Yeah.
that my math was better than his math. So,
And Extreme Divers was the company that installed it.
yeah, they
So
were
that's
installed, but
also-
the thing is that they're doing this with obtaining the rock from a different source. So we're not being charged for the rock, but they're putting it down. They had extra laying around in their truck or something.
Armament, this was putting down on 36.
No, that's coconut fish.
Oh, cool.
If you go to Gateway's ponds, most of their ponds are Armor-Mex. And most of our ponds are coconut mesh. We do have 3 ponds that are Armor-Mex.
Do all 3 of them need?
No,
Which one is 28?
it's the one on the.
Right, so-
Seville.
Sevilla?
Spell it correct.
You need a motion, Doug?
No,
You don't need one?
it's already, the PO's already done.
It's been that.
For $1,500.
Doug, was there any action on 8A or it was just for information?
That was just for information.
Okay.
Most of this stuff, there is no vote
Okay.
here today.
All right.
Even though we got, there's no vote required. Things were discussed. Okay, I'm going to cover water retention, and every time there's always an exception. When you go through and try to do a big level view of how water retention within Pelican works. Our ponds, for the most part, are all interconnected and flow either into the flowway from the ponds. There's a pond that goes into the flowway. And then on the Winn-Dixie side, or actually, I think it's more behind, over there, the set.
Goodwill.
Goodwill, yeah, Goodwill, Kinchapenny Goodwill, the water exits there. There's 2 exits, and that goes through the slough from each of those, let's just call them streams. It goes through the slough and eventually goes through the Gulf. So that's how it exits Pelican Preserve. Okay, the street drains and all those ponds are interconnected, so they self-level. Now, there is some question whether or not, Mike, your pond had.
38 is not.
Well, it's, I think, directly to the flowway. Now, someone, Bob, had said that he thinks there's actually interconnect pipe, but the interconnect pipe is lowered, so it can't flow into the pond. So, but let's just say to simplify it, they're all interconnected to self-level. And they exit through the stream, the flowway or stream, through the slough into the Gulf. And that's how, and it's slow moving. If you've ever watched that, it's not rapid, it's slow moving, unless we get 16 inches of rain. So the street drains are connected into the pond. Okay, to the ponds. All the street drains flow into the ponds, which then exit through the streams to all the way. When the pond is at a high level, which occurs a lot of times when the flowway is high, and there's nowhere for the water out of our ponds to go, so they rise. And the street drains, there's nowhere for the water in the street drains to go. And because of that, it backs up, like over there where
Right.
in your community,
Good stuff.
over there in Siena, it backs up into the road. Everyone, I think, pretty well understands that. What they don't understand, and it's hard to convince them, is that the streets are part of the retention also. When they did the retention plan, the streets were capacity of water. So it was intended that the streets would build up water and then it would flow out eventually. But that's part of the plan. That's not a design. You might question the design, but it's not the fact that the drains are plugged. It's just the way it was designed,
Which is why the houses are built.
higher and
Higher.
stuff like that. We did, like you said, on Pond 38, we had 2 homes where water came into the home after Irma, but besides that, the system has worked fine.
And
But-
those two homes are built slightly lower
Right.
than the others for whatever reason, I don't know.
But just so you all know, the main reason I brought it up is that when people complain about water in this, it's hard when there's water in the street and they're walking in their boots through the water. It's hard to say, oh, that's the way it was designed. You have to almost make them understand it before there's water standing in the street. You know, because of the fact is I can understand that people don't like water in the street. But that's the way it was designed. When we had the 16 inches of rain over 3 days, there was quite a bit of water, in quite a few communities in the street. And it took 4 days, 5 days before that really received it.
But that's the only time it happens, when we
Right.
have these major
Right.
water events, not on a standard
Yeah,
South
and I-
Florida thunderstorm.
Correct, Jim. And I do believe that what we just saw was not a lot of rain. I mean, 4 inches to me in Florida is
Much
not rain,
did
but it did back
When-
up into
this
the,
last.
partially into the streets in some
5 to
communities
7.
because they have low drains.
I think you'd be surprised how many residents think that what you're calling street drains, up north, we call them storm drains,
Mhm.
Yeah.
are exiting into the sewer system, not into, you'd be surprised how many people would say, what? It's going into the ponds?
Yeah.
They have no idea. They
Right.
think
Just
it's
why
going
the
into the
fish go
sewers.
into the street when it floods.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or snakes or anything else.
we not talk about that.
Okay. Does everyone understand what the strategy is? And whether you agree with it or not, that's what that's how the community was built.
Is there a map that shows the pond and interconnect flows as it leaves the communities?
I haven't seen it.
Never seen
It was hard to
You know.
find that 38 drained to
It's have the
flow.
pipes in them.
It has the
Absolutely.
interconnect pipes, but it does not show the flow direction, because
I got
I
you.
know there's 3 or 4 zones in Pelican,
Basically,
three zones,
Basin.
3 basins,
or 3 basins, right? And
2,
and it,
3, and 6.
right, and everything doesn't follow the same route into the slough.
The ponds in basin 2 self-level and go to the flow. The ponds in basin 3 self-level and go into the flow. The ponds in basin 6 go north to, and self-level, and it goes north to the Goodwill Shopping Center.
we have a map of the ponds, but we don't have the directional flow with
We had
arrows.
that at one time. There is. that.
Okay.
It's never made it into GIS.
I haven't seen it.
But we know where they're interconnected, but we don't know it goes from this pond to this pond. You'd have to do it by level, right?
Yeah, it's.
Yeah.
Not difficult. to understand. It's easy.
But just while we're here, the interconnect pipes, that's Nixon. Oh, thank you. Thank you. The interconnect pipes are going to be clean. We will have to vote on that, but we don't have a bid yet, formal bid yet for that. But the interconnect pipes between, because they've never been really clean between lakes. I think Gateway did that, didn't you, last year? The interconnect pipes for your communities in Gateway, didn't you? Do some-
Only a basin, only
Okay.
basin 4.
Right, well, we have a contract to do all 3 basins that they're working on, that we'll have to bring it here, because I think it's gonna be probably around 100,000. And it's not gonna be done this year because we don't have the money to do it until next calendar year. But that is something which is the next step, for the drainage and retention, solution that will be done.
Now, what
Plus-
did they do last year?
The drainage, street drains.
It's a street,
And
okay,
they
just
just
a street.
completed that, they just completed it, and we were just billed, the beginning of this week, I think they completed it last week and beginning of this week. I seen Danielson and know now that he's just, anyway, yes,
When they do the street drain, does that also include the pipe
It,
into the pond?
it does if, you know, the bubblers.
Yeah.
If it is not above, if it's all in the catch basin, they just clean the catch basin.
I got it.
Because the catch basin, when it fills up, that's where it goes into the,
I got it.
okay, we had none that were over the top, that were at 100%.
Cool.
Okay,
When you say street names, say include the ones that are, where else?
no,
I live on Missouri.
No.
That was,
oh, you mean the 3x5s? Are you talking about the little bubblers?
no, the big ones that.
It
In
is-
Missouri, we have the big ones in the backyards that.
Yeah.
Connect to the street
Yeah.
drains that then connect to the ponds, so. You know, if they.
I know that was not part of what they just did, but I will look at that and I'll get back on the next meeting with that.
I don't know how many are around here.
There's fair number. There's a fair number. I call them the secondary drainage system across the back of some of the ponds. Or some of the homes. Okay. The next thing on the agenda I have is the depth.
You have, you have sunset of Pelican Pond.
What?
Sunset of Pelican
Oh,
Pond.
yeah. I thought you already did.
I'm working on it.
Fan up here.
Okay, this is Peggy Hall. As you guys know, about 5 years ago, I think it was, we developed a ticketing system within our GIS mapping component. And it's worked fairly well. I mean, it hasn't been perfect, but it's worked fairly well. Well, we were informed this spring that the vendor is sunsetting, meaning they're ending support for the ticketing system that we use. They got a new one, which we could invest like $20,000 to $30,000 and move into. But it doesn't make sense for us to do that if we've got C-Click Fix, which is moving in the direction that that would keep us all on one system. So what we've got is we've got a system that is aging. We've got a system that the vendor isn't supporting. I have the emails have not been working to notify our vendors for the last month. I've been working with Will, and I think today we're to a place where we can lift this along a little bit more. But it does add, not probably from Chelsea's perspective, but it adds a little bit of urgency to C-Click Fix being able to notify vendors and do everything. I've worked with Daniel on showing him what our system does and what our requirements would be. So we're seeing, and he agrees and likes everything that we had going. So bottom line of it is, we're limping it along. We're going to do our best to keep it going, but there are going to be times I'm going to send the leads to our areas that put tickets in that they are going to have to notify the vendors. The vendors know to check the system as well. And it's been working, even though it's been a little sketchy.
Even though it's not supported, we'll work with you and the vendor to fix this email issue.
The vendor will not do it,
We'll fix.
will, or we won't. One of the
And
two.
maybe he can't
We
fix
will or we
it.
won't.
Right, exactly. Well, Will felt committed that he knew what the issue with on this one, so he kind of dove ahead on this and he did find a solution. So we're in go mode now, but just keep in mind that it's on its way out.
Now, C-Click Fix.
Yep.
Will there be any cost for us to incorporate that, to make that our ticketing driver?
We're working through the details of that because right now that's an internal system because it's tied to our asset management system. So I know Daniel's been working on, right now we're just working on getting all of your assets that you guys have in that Passarella GIS system into our system. And Will and his team have been doing that, trying to make it compatible with our system. Once that gets in, then the next step is seeing if we can, it may cost us additional licenses to have additional users, but we're working through that behind the scenes. So as of right now, I don't expect, other than potential license cost, any additional expenses.
Because I know I get an email if there's, based on my ponds work, that if somebody puts in something, in a resident puts something in, I see it, but there's no means for me to resolve.
Correct.
There's one for a bubbler that hasn't worked for a month.
Yeah.
If I put in a ticket, I can't do anything to
Yeah.
show that I've, I've answered that ticket.
Yeah.
And that's the only shortfall I see at this point in
I think
time.
it's manual today. Usually I send a note to Al and she updates it with the information I give her.
Yeah.
That's how I do it today. It's a second step that would, but it is available.
So is there, if I see something that would generally come to somebody in the Pelican Preserve Ponds group, if I initiate a ticket to get it fixed, who would I notify? I don't want to keep sending,
Through C-Click Fix.
Through, yeah. And it,
yes,
so through C-Click Fix, we have like a tree of certain things go to certain individuals. That's what we have to work with you guys sunsetting this and us trying to incorporate the vendor. Who on that tree does it go to? And to me, it would be the chair.
It goes to me and I usually do, you know, I should maybe copy other people, but right now it comes to me.
Yeah.
And
So
you don't get a copy.
you don't-
If you get a copy, maybe we can.
not a resolution. I just get a notification that somebody submitted a ticket.
yeah,
Well-
but you don't have action to go in and resolve. That's a staff. That's a
I have to send in.
Yes.
Well, usually it comes from L and the thing. I believe it comes from her and I just reply back.
Yeah.
You know, this has been recorded and stuff like that, but we could get you, Jim. So anything that has to do with the ponds or the conservation area and stuff like that, I get a Click Fix email notification. I can't resolve it, but I get a notification. I can send that to other members. Right now, I do not.
Because how
shouldn't
would,
be doing that.
how would,
I know. That's why I said maybe the application could look.
Well, I think there's definitely some things we have to work out with the processes and procedures and how moving from your management application to C-Click Fix, we've got to work through that. And I think Peggy was leading that with Daniel. He's out until October, but I know Passerelle is still working in the background, so we'll get through it.
We got a
It
few
it
minutes.
could be at least a year.
Hopefully, we can keep the application running so that there isn't a problem with Click Fix trying to incorporate everything in an urgent manner.
Yeah.
Why don't you, we have enough time, mention what Daniel's doing. I think that's a pretty neat thing.
With his
Yeah,
with his
yeah.
leave. Daniel is, I believe it's active reserve, in the military, and he is off pursuing his master's degree. It's an accelerated course of, I think it's like, I don't know how many weeks, between now and October 11th. Pardon?
Masters in what?
It's something to do with the military and what his role is with the military, but this is something that he'll be able to obtain and basically move up within his ranks. And so we encouraged him to go off and, staff has to kind of divide and conquer while he's away, but he'll be coming back with a master's degree. So
very good.
And when you say staff, provide and conquer, thank you for being one of those staff that has been able.
Laura and I are tag teaming, so
That you have been here at this meeting. You were there on Monday at the bank on Pond 36.
Yep.
Well, thank you for
Yep.
involvement.
yep. Well, that's why we have redundancies within our system and having staff involved, and we do post-meeting follow-ups. So this transition, it shouldn't be so many, bumps in the road, but like I said, we encouraged him to go off and eager for him to come back. I know it's only been like 3 days, so.
Yeah. And he's still applying to email.
Absolutely. He is keeping a pulse on things, just for that way, when he transitions back, it should be pretty easy.
You'll be sending some of this out.
Yes. Yep. You are on.
Okay, Pond 31, there's been some question. That's the smallest pond we have. The one corner of it is all, is always backed up, where, there's muck in the bottom. It's about 1 inch deep, type thing. There's been talk about whether or not that pond was at the specs of the original. Okay, go up. These are the specs. If you can read it, it's a 6-foot minimum in the middle, up to a maximum of 20 feet.
That's the control.
Right. So those are the specs for the pond, the design. Go to the bottom. We did a very sophisticated modeling. We asked our contractor if he could go out in his boat and measure the depth in the pond at different things, different levels. And this is what he did. In the middle, at the far end, which was a far end of Tiberio, it's about 8 foot. It's goes to 7, 6, and 5. But if you looked at the other map, go there, you can see 8 is at the maximum point is where we are 8 foot versus 6. So we are within specs on that pond, but that doesn't mean that that little slough doesn't cause issues in the dry season. Right? Thank you, Bob. He gave me his time. He did. He did say behave yourself or anything like that.
But we do work with the ponds contractor whenever that top end starts getting
Right.
closing up. They do go in, we have had them treat it pretty aggressively. Dean walks those ponds now. And as always happens, when it grows in, when you treat it, especially the stuff that grows under the surface of the water, you end up with floating,
Yeah.
ugly floating debris that will break down, in time. It's naturally how it's supposed to work. Rain is a big driver of it breaking up. But the shallow lakes we're always going to have issues with the subsurface.
Yeah, and the thing is, when
Growth.
in that area where it's not very deep, there's nowhere for it to decay and go down without being able to see it on top. So, you try to let the homeowners know you care. And you're trying to, I took a shop vac out there and tried to suck the stuff out. I put a net out there and tried to get it off the top of the pond and that thing. But
You didn't hear any of that.
no, well, there's nothing illegal about that. There's nothing illegal. I did it by myself. And the homeowners come out and they thank you for trying to resolve the issue. But at the end of the day, the only thing that resolves the real issue is rain.
They
Right?
shouldn't have a problem right now.
No, there's no problem right now. After the 16 inches, there was no problem.
We
But-
actually about 5 or 6 years ago, they asked what it would cost to just put some big boulders or rocks up there, maybe to more close the pond into a deeper level. And then the community kind of got in an uproar and they opted not for that.
I think the only thing you might be able to do is in that little slough dredge it. Just like on Pond 36, they came in the thing and they dredged the pond out and made it deeper in that area. I think that would give you more volume of water in that. And I don't know, I don't think it would be that much to just do that small portion. But that's just an idea, but we're going to vote on that here. We need more data and stuff like that. It's not a problem right now.
Again, where is this?
This is 31, Pond 31. It's that small pond
What's that?
in Tiberio.
The Camarel,
Yeah.
where Camarel
Yeah.
cuts across into Tiberio on the right-hand
I've
side,
seen it, yeah.
Yeah.
But again, it's been doing this
And
every year and it works, it follows its course and,
But
it's
it's the
not optimal.
homeowners around.
Yeah.
Ooh,
The other.
the other one, this one?
No, that's it. No, go back. That's it right there.
Homeowners-
That's the right one.
That's the right one. But the homeowners up here at the top, those three and these down the side, those are the ones that get upset because it's, they're sitting on their patio and all they have is scum in that part of the pond.
But it happens for a couple of weeks.
Yeah. But-
Periodically.
We always hear
Bob,
about
I was just going to say, I've probably been in the ponds group for 8, 9 years. It's been a problem from day one, where you had the Carpenters.
Forever.
Dave Carpenter complained about it when he owned that one home, and the homeowner that bought it, and it's just that it is, that pond is, it's that way and it's within specs.
Well, and we agreed back years ago to treat it as if it was a fishing area and spray all of the spike rush back, which we still do.
One of Carpenter's issues was the littorals from the right side met the left side.
Right.
It's so shallow, when the water drops, it's all littoral.
Yeah.
And it looked like our ugly bulrush mark. So that's when
Yeah.
you're exactly correct. And that's when we decided we would treat it like a fishing area and eliminate the littoral. So that took care of the growth problem.
Fishing.
That took care of the growth problem. It didn't address
The subsurface,
But we could,
And we've harvested.
Jim, we can look at what other options, you can look at what other options might be there. Or we just say, sometimes we look at stuff and say, this is the way it is. But you can look at that. Last thing is Pond 36, the restoration. We had, I apologize for all the members of the ponds group for the fiasco with the holes across the highway, the drainage, and you guys have not been able to talk with you about it until now. But the contractor did not, that was not the plan, to put it across, if you lived out in that area, you woke up the morning and you had the big bump across the road. And some people took their car in to have it serviced and stuff like that. But the contractor did not inform us, I think they gave Daniel an email at like 6 o'clock at night. And the next morning it was already there. It was there later that night with no flashing lights or anything, just with cones. And I just want to say that was the only time in my entire time in the ponds group I wasn't proud to say I was a member of the group.
they did get rid of the person
Yeah, they did fire.
who drove-
They
who drove that
solution,
decision.
the guy was let go the following week. But
He might have just moved to a different project of theirs, but
no, the owner of the company had to pay for, it cost them a lot of money, just put it that way.
yeah.
It was not fixed. So that's just the start of the project. It was going pretty smooth until the rain we just had. And the net of this is on parts of the bank where it's very heavily sand. The sand is washing in with the rain we've been having with the storm recently. It's washing and creating erosion in what they did. So that's where it is right now. We don't totally have a solution yet about going forward, but the contractor has not been paid anything yet for the work. But I'm going to have two people give a little bit different idea that have been out there. You were out there on Monday. I would be curious if you want to tell your opinion of what you saw.
Yeah, pretty simple to me. Contractor signed an agreement that they had to meet certain standards and they haven't met that, albeit we did have a tropical storm. So I know the engineers are going to be working directly with Doug and the contractor to resolve it. I will say if I were standing on the Greater Gateway side and looking at that pond, pretty upset. So there are some spots on the sides looked in good shape and weathered the storm, no pun intended, or pun intended, whichever you wish. But definitely the golf course side and then the roadway side need a little TLC. So
Yep.
we are nowhere near a punch list. And I know Stephen Gappy, our Tetra Tech district engineer, reached out to the owner, tried to set up some time today to go out there and look at it. But we're close to the end. We are not at the end completely.
You're in here to left. We're up. We'll get. Jim, I know you were out there yesterday when you got back. Any observation?
Right. So again, I concur. Down the sides, a lot of it looked good. The sod is down. The pond, they've refilled the pond. So it looks good. I really have to walk it and make sure that the grass isn't hiding anything below it. The main problem is that they chose to do this work at the beginning of the wet season, and we had a very early wet season with the two storms, which I think they regret doing now. We cannot plant the littorals, which is why we went with the coconut mesh. Using the littorals will be what is going to be maintaining the bank, preventing bank erosion. We've been in touch with Solitude, who monitors those ponds, to get a bid to aggressively plant a mix of littorals on there to maintain the banks. They reiterated that this is not the time of year to be planting. It would be in April. So now this pond has to go for almost a year. So it's almost like they're going to have to come back in March, April, touch up any things that happened in the interim, and then we can do some aggressive planting. Because once we plant, it's going to be 3 years, 3 to 5 years before this stuff takes root and is able to hold a bank. We don't have a 10-year ability, but so that's my observation on it. The contractor out there would their lessons learned is they would never take on something like this at that time of year that they did. They probably did it. It was probably a slow time of year for them to do this work. So I figured that they'll try it, but they're getting burned by it.
A couple points I will make. Number one is Daniel and Stephen Gaffey for Tetra Tech both told them they did not need to proceed in one season, and they decided still to pursue the contractor. I'll just say that. Number two is I am fearful. It looks good right now when the water's up to the grass level, but when the water goes back down from control level, it goes towards the low water mark. What is underneath there that we can't see? So those are two things I'm worried about. And the golf course side, go back to your thing. The golf course side is not their problem. It is a problem because the bank, but the golf course had reseeding that entire fairway. They had significant washouts because of the reseeding, which caused significant, these were like Grand Canyon erosion, which was caused because of the drains plugged up on the golf course side. So there is, there is something there. It's your problem, my problem type of thing. But the golf person knows it's their problem. It's just how do you resolve it? How do you resolve it? I mean, there was a change order to the golf course that was like $50,000 to resolve, and nothing really came of that. The contractor went out there and smoothed it out before this tropical storm Debbie came in. And there's erosion already after what they smoothed out.
So we do have a warranty as part of the contract, so.
No, we're protected from a lot of aspects because of the formal bid. Even though I don't like formal bid, but we're protected because we have a formal bid. And the other thing, we voted as a group, as did PPAC, not to engage Tetra Tech on this thing for I call it the installation, checking type of stuff. What's it called?
CEI, Construction Engineering Inspection.
Well, we voted, and I recommended to the Board of Supervisors not to use them. And they did not take my recommendation. Right now, I'm glad they did not take the recommendation because of the amount of challenges we're going to have to get through where we're at.
Yep.
Okay. That's the last thing I have.
Two quick questions. Are we still stocking with fish, carp and regular fish?
I feel like we're stocking with their car.
No.
But we could.
We're approaching the end of the life cycle for the grass carp. Their life cycle is about 10 years.
So no carp.
No, and I think they've realized that stocking the grass carp it didn't produce the results that they were looking for.
Lesson learned.
No,
Lesson
it's an okay decision. It just didn't produce the results
Yeah, I remember doing
they were looking for. And the other stocking programs, we stocked a couple of years ago with CES. The problem is he stocked what I call landlocked ponds. So there's no residents just can't go and fish there because there's houses all the way around the pond. And what I asked was that when we institute any kind of stocking, that we stock ponds that has community access. So that if people want, to put fish in a pond that nobody fishes on is kind of like a waste of money. So put it where there's resident access.
So I think we still need them for I guess, insect control purposes where they're, eating the bug larvae. I think that helps keep some of the no-see-ums or whatever population at bay. But I agree. I think the focus should be where it could be fishing, at least game fish wise.
Right.
But I think the other ponds do need a level of stocking of fish that would be appropriate for,
And yeah, and there are
insect
other,
control. There's
yeah,
other,
there are other
fish that
species
are not-
that you could put in there. that
right. So I think we need to, address, keep that.
Top view.
I have my.
Yeah.
So reduce.
Yeah, we do stock.
No, come on. No, we're leaving. Do you want this installed?
Do you want that next meeting agenda?
We're done. Huh? We got the ones in the room. I don't know if you call that a good. Okay, the only thing I can think about from a next agenda standpoint is the fact that we will be upon 36 continuation, a discussion. Maybe a little bit of 31. I don't, Jim, but we can talk about pond 31. And we can look at the financials. Since we
sounds
didn't
good.
look at them this time. All right, will I have a motion to adjourn?
Jim Latham will make them.
Jim,
Second.
what? I will find out. I don't want to stop our record. Okay, Jim, motion
Yeah.
first, second was Lou.
Vote aye.